Good, hi, good evening. It is Sunday, September 21st, and we're live. I'm T. Waldron. This is my cat Pumpkin. Do you want to say hi? Thank you. That was really nice. She's a silent meow over here. So we are live at 8 p.m. We do the evening lives on the weekends and then the 8 a.m. lives Monday through Friday. So last night we had a fantastic discussion. I want to thank everybody who contributed. We spoke about Mendel, we spoke about the pineal gland, we spoke about materialism and Jesus, and we had a little bit of everything. It was fantastic. And it was respectful, and I love that. And I want to thank our moderator, Imran Hossain. He is fantastic. He keeps the chat going in the right direction. So thank you very much, Imran. Okay, so tonight I just thought I would continue on because now that we started talking last night about materialism, that's going to be my next whole topic after we finish the series by Dr. Joe. But I want to finish the series first, and then we can go on to that was really an interesting point where some folks are of the persuasion that unless something is measurable and scientific, quantifiable, that it doesn't really exist, and such as our consciousness. So I want to get into that whole thing and do a whole series on consciousness and materialism and different theories of consciousness. But I want to get through this series by Dr. Joe first. So this is a review of the fourth episode of the first series, like the first season of Rewired. And it's so good. It's a really wonderful series. It's on Gaia, which I think you can get a 7-day free trial of Gaia and watch. You could crank through the whole thing. I think it's like 11 half-hour series. So do a binge night or two, and you can, if you want to see the whole thing for free, or you can, I think it's like $13.99 for 1 month and $9.99 a month if you do a year subscription, which I just canceled Netflix and I switched over to that for a year. I'm going to try it out. And so far it's been really interesting content. So, yeah, there's like yoga and meditation, and then these different interviews with various scientists, which I really love. So the topic on the fourth episode is fight or flight, your fight or flight reflexes. Hi, Nadine, welcome. Oh, thank you so much. This is Pumpkin. She's 16 and a half years old. They said you're very cute, Pumpkin. She loves to come over here for the lives and send you relaxing energy. Hey, good evening, Jim. Good to see you back. Thanks for tuning in. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in on a Sunday night. I know there's probably a million things you could be doing, and you're choosing it to spend with us, so thank you. So the topic of this episode is how our fight or flight system works, what it's triggered by, and what happens to our bodies when it does get activated, and how many of us, and he said in this episode, which is crazy, 70% or many of us live in fight or flight response for 70% of their lives, which seems exceedingly high considering it's supposed to be just a quick emergency system, and we're living in it 70% of our lives. Now, I know I did for a fact. Before I started this, learning about, mental fitness, I was living in it. I was running from different things and I was reacting rather than responding to things. Okay, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the chat. Let's see what's happening here. Oh no, San Diego de Silva, welcome. I'm in the US. Good evening, Art. Good evening to you and your cats as well. So, yeah. Okay, so a lot of times our system, and for many people, and I was living it, I was in stress probably more than 70% of the time. So I can attest to those statistics seem valid. And he calls stress a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or demanding circumstances. Hey, Bryson, welcome. Bryson plays. Okay. And so stress can be many different things. It could be, and he says the different types, which we'll get to that in a second. But a lot of times, stress is created when we can't predict a future outcome, or we feel we can't control a situation, or we perceive a threat or something is coming in our lives that we perceive as dangerous, right? So he says there's three different types of stress. Oh, you have an orange cat named Fluffy. Very sweet. We're in the US near New York. Yeah, we're in Connecticut. I'll just tell you. Well, welcome from New York. Well, I'm glad we popped onto your phone, and I hope we can, share with you some information to help you and your cat, have a more chill life. And you might be chill already, which is super cool. I appreciate you being here in the chat, Nadine. Um, so there's three different types of stress. There's physical stress, which comes from traumas, accidents, injuries, falls. Okay. There's chemical stress from flus, bacteria, viruses, blood sugar levels, toxins in the food, and that's a chemical stress. And then there's emotional stress, which we probably all are familiar with: family tragedy, second mortgages, single parenting, traffic jams, difficult bosses, interactions with people that are unkind. There's a lot of various emotional stress that we can be under. Um, and they all knock our body and brain out of balance, which is just wild because we find ourselves responding to stress, right? Like, I don't know about you, but like when something happens, stress is kind of like an alarm system, like, oh, this is something that could be dangerous. Now, what we do with that information completely controls what our bodies are doing, what our brains are doing, what our body chemistry is doing, all of it, and how we respond, and whether we even know we're responding. Sometimes we just are on autopilot and we're just going through and we think that's just the way the world is. Or he also said we can get addicted to the stress, which is wild. Okay. So when we perceive danger or something stressful, and it could be a visit by our mother-in-law, it could be, what are we going to do about childcare? It could be many, many things. Our sympathetic nervous system turns on, and that's our fight or flight. Now, he says fight or flight system. There's also freeze, where we just sort of freeze. And then there's also a fourth one, which I found out about last year, which is called fawn, where we perform being extra nice to people even though we don't feel like it. And that's called fawning. And that's another way that our system is out of alignment and we're not in tune with how we really feel. We're performing something as a matter of protection. Okay? And there's all different sorts of fawning. So they're a safety system to help us to adapt to the environment. It's like when a zebra is chased by a lion. Then after the threat is neutralized, after the zebra gets away, Dr. Dispenza says about 30 minutes later, their nervous system returns to normal. But many of us, we don't. We go from one stressful situation right to the next, and our minds are spinning with that. Let's see. Oh, you're a nurse. Welcome. Oh my gosh. Okay, I'm a nurse. The best way to alleviate stress is venting. Oh my gosh, yes. Working out, walking outside, beautiful, observing the world, pray, treating yourself to foods or drinks that make us happy. Oh my gosh, those are all wonderful ways, Nadine. Thank you. Those are great tips. And those are nice, especially the walking outside, because that does many things. That can kind of quiet your mind, that can take you out in nature, that can get you sunlight. So a lot of those do more than one thing. So that's really wise. Thank you for sharing those, Nadine. I appreciate that. So when we are stressed, our body chemistry changes. And you'll know this, Nadine, as a nurse, but I'm just going to share this with everybody. We get a rush of energy because it's like our survival instinct. and our mouth gets dry. We have an increase in our heart rate and our blood pressure. We have a quicker breath, but it's usually shallow. So we're not really we're getting quick breath, but it's not deep breath. We have a decrease in the ability of our immune system to function properly, increased blood sugar, increased blood to our extremities, but less blood in our organs. And sensitivity to pain and digestive issues can happen too, because we're not digesting at that time. At that time, it's an emergency, so we're not getting the right, attention. Our body sort of quiets down our digestive tract, because we're not supposed to be eating right at that point. If you're getting chased by a lion, you're not going to be stopping and having a hamburger. You're mentioning the addictive quality of the adrenaline rush. Yeah, I'm going to come back to that, Art. That is so true, because he goes on to say we can get addicted to this feeling because it's all we know. But I'll get to that. Hang on. You knew what was coming, because it is addicting. Like if it's the known, we know how that feels, and we sometimes will bring it upon ourselves, not even realizing it. Now I want a hamburger. That's funny. I know. I just had a big salad. Whew, it was good. I had to chop it down before I got on this live. Okay, now the parasympathetic nervous system is like the brakes. So after the threat is neutralized, or after we're safe, our parasympathetic nervous system should come online and calm us down, maybe make us rest, have a nap. But most of us these days are in such constant stress and under such pressure that our parasympathetic nervous system can't come online, because then we're just on to the next stressful situation. So, and as we just said, the sympathetic nervous system, which is our stress response, becomes addictive. Okay, and then our brain jumps in, our neocortex jumps in to think about our problems. And just by thought alone, we can come out of a stressful situation and then be like, okay, I'm safe now, but oh my God, tomorrow I've got a project due at work, or I've got to go grocery shopping, or I've got this bill to pay that I don't know how I'm going to afford it. Whatever, our brain will jump in to maintain the known, that known stress level, and just add in more stuff to be stressed about. And I'm sure I used to have that all the time, where I would sort of resolve a situation, and then I would think, okay, well, that's done. And instead of being like, okay, I can relax now, I would think of like 2 more things to be worried about. Okay. So our thoughts can keep us in the stress response, and they can make us sick. But the good news is our thoughts can also make us better. So that's very powerful. So he did a study which had people meditate for 4 days. It was only 4 days, 10 minutes. I don't know if it was more than once. It might have been 1 or 2 or 3 times, but for 10 minutes. So tops 30 minutes, okay? And here's what the numbers happened. He said the cortisol, which is our stress hormone, was lowered by 15.2% in 4 days. Okay, with his test. And our IgA, and immunoglobulin A. Now that's our, I think it's a hormone, but it cleans up the not like the disease in our immune system. So it like, you could probably tell me what it is, but it's kind of like a cleansing of our system to clean up any. I should have written it down, but I was trying to take notes quick. But anyway, it's good for us. And that went up 50%, and that helps our immune system. So that was up 50% in 4 days, and the cortisol was down 15%. And as you know, cortisol also causes us to put on weight, which is also a form of stress. Oh, so when we are in this stress response, right? Where do we place our attention, right? What happens? So if we're in a situation where we perceive there's danger, right? We're going to look at our body, like, okay, what do I need to do to get out of this situation? let's pretend it's actually a physical thing, right? Let's pretend we're coming out of a store late at night and we see somebody coming at us and we don't know who they are and they look a little shady, right? So we're going to be looking at our, yeah, fight or flight, exactly. So we're going to be looking at our body. Okay, where am I? What's going on? Can I take the guy? Like that's always my first thing. It's like, I don't know why. I'm like, if I was in a street fight, could I take this guy? Not that, whatever, that makes no sense. But, okay, where am I? And then your environment. You think about your body, you think about your environment. How close am I to my car? Can I hit my unlock and jump in the car, in a reasonable amount of time? Or is there anybody else around? What's going on in the environment? Are there enough lights? Is there a security guard? Whatever. Am I in imminent danger? And then the third thing we think about, time. How much time do I have? So those are the three things when our body is in fight or flight. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, you're taking him down. I know, me too, Nadine. I'm with you. But be careful. He might have a gun. So don't. We have to. I know. I'd rather take somebody down than run. But these days, you never know if they have a gun. Our focus, though, when we're in this stressful situation, is on matter in our 3D environment. We are in survival mode. We are not in creative mode. Okay? And when we change, once we become safe, we got in our car, we're home, or whatever, and we're not thinking about anything else stressful, we can get to creative mode, and that's where we want to get. Oh, hello. I'm not sure what your name is, but welcome. So when we're in fight or flight, we are more 3D and less spirit. And this is what he says. We're more particle and less wave. And we talk about, and I've spoken about this on the channel, and welcome if you're new. I try to bring in physics and metaphysics and spirituality with the science. So it's all tied together. So and he ties it together beautifully. This is Dr. Joe Dispenza. So if this is a daily situation, we try to predict it and get familiar and shift our attention to the known, and we become hyper-focused and not creative. So if we're trying to figure out, okay, what's going to happen next, we're really in the 3D world. We're in the what's going to happen, where am I going, what am I doing, who am I going to interact with? What are they going to say? What am I going to say? And we're not thinking creatively. We're not thinking spiritually. We're just focused on surviving. Okay? So our brain, our neocortex, usually creates the worst possible case scenario so that we're ready for it. So then that brings the stress levels up. So it's like this hamster wheel of stress, and then imagining the worst to protect us, and then creating more stress. And it's just, we have to stop the cycle. We have to stop it. And as I said earlier, he says that we select the worst case scenario to prepare. 70% of the time, most people are living in survival mode. So when we keep that same emotional reaction, it becomes a mood. And if we keep it for days and weeks, it becomes our temperament. And if we keep it for months, it becomes our personality trait. And it just becomes who we are. So are we going to be this stressful person? And have we lost ourselves in this whole thing just trying to survive? And it's nobody's fault. It's really the way the world is right now. But once you become aware of it, it gives you power. You're powerful. You're limitless. So that's, I didn't know that. Before I started researching this stuff, I thought, well, I'm just a stressful, angry person. That's me. And, I'm impatient, and whatever. I had no patience, and I was upset all the time and stressed and sad and angry and all that. And I didn't even know I could be different. So that's why I'm, putting this channel together, so that maybe you already know you can be different, but I had no idea. And I think a lot of people don't know, because I used to study this stuff. I used to get into it, but I never heard it put this way, which is really powerful. We're almost done, guys. So Stress, again, it creates the brain and body out of balance. Yeah, Art, a lot of that is learned behavior from the way we were raised. Yeah, that's the truth. And I do not fault any of, I don't fault my parents because they did the best they could with the information they had at the time. I was doing the best I could with my kids with the information I had at the time. Of course, I would do it differently now, but I didn't know it. I tried the best I could. So, um, and it doesn't help to blame your parents, to like say, oh, I'm this way because of my parent. That doesn't do any good, because you're an adult now, and now it's up to you to fix whatever's up with you. So you can do it. It just takes some work, but it's definitely doable, and it feels good. That's what I'm in the process of doing right now, is just getting healthy on all levels. But here's the thing: if we stay in that fight and flight all the time, it brings on chronic disease, and it can manifest in so many different ways. It puts stress on our body, on our immune system, on our heart, on our minds, everything. And we can alleviate the stress on our body in a few ways. So we're almost there, guys. So we have to think of ourselves. When we're in the fight or flight, we're matter trying to change matter, and that's really hard to do. We might compete more, we might fight, we might try harder, we might wish. We feel out of control, and we work harder, and it takes time. But there's a different way to live, which is fantastic. He gives us the option. Oh, hey, B, welcome. Pumpkin, how are you tonight? Are you doing good? Yeah, she's great. She's having a great time. You'd never guess by looking at her face, because she has a grumpy cat face, but she's having a great night. She's purring anyway. So, oh, by the way, cheers to you. Stay hydrated. It's a little tea. Oh, that's good. Yeah, so there's a different way to be if we can live in creation, okay? And rather than focusing on our body and the 3D, our phone, the computer, our car, or time, things we need to do, or, oh, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I'm sad, whatever, our body, we could take the focus off the 3D, okay? And this is where the meditation comes in. Get into the present and meditate. And I know, like we talked about meditation last week, and I really never loved it until I went to that meditation retreat. And basically, Dr. Joe has you get into the present, and you become nothing, you think of nothing, you kind of just clear your mind and let your subconscious come out. And it's very powerful, and it's very relaxing. It just takes away all of that fight and flight. It doesn't give your body anything to worry about. Like, you are just being, and it's such a sense of relief and peace. And it was better than any alcohol or anything else. I just feel very peaceful since then, and I've been meditating every day because it feels so good. So I can't recommend it enough. So we're almost there, guys. Another quarter page. So when we're meditating, we're sensing nothing but space. We become nothing. We let go of all our problems. They're gonna pop in. But you just let them float by like a cloud. We have to do an email. Okay, I'll do it later. What's the temperature in here? Okay, I'll be fine. It's just you let the thoughts sort of float by, and every time you can do that, every time you can let that thought float by and come back to being nothing and feeling peace, you've won every single time. And the more it's like going to the gym. We talk about this there's a lot of things like going to the gym, but this is like going to the gym. You build that muscle of being present and not allowing your analytical mind to rule the show, because it'll just run you ragged. It will keep you in fight and flight because that's what it knows. That's how it feels safe. And you will never feel peace if you don't actively try to find ways to gain peace. And yesterday I talked about another method. So if you're interested, if the analytical mind is getting too much, I started last night with a different method, which is really effective as well. So check that out. But what we can do is what meditating does is suppresses our memory cortex, leaves the 3D reality, and slows our brain waves down, right? Oh, thank you. Bye, Nadine. Thanks for tuning in. All right. God bless you. Have a good night. And thanks for fighting the good fight in healthcare. Good for you. Welcome in Cyrillic. Yeah, subscribe to the channel so you can come back another time, okay? I'd love to see you again. And then our brain synchronizes to be coherent, and it returns our body back to balance. So it's fantastic. And then there's 2 states. So we can be in the fight or flight state, which he calls the animal state, which is contraction, survival, the known. It brings us to disease, fear, and anger. We become selfish. We become isolated. It's limited. Or we can be in the divine state, which is not being in fight or flight and being present. And that is expansion, creation, unknown, homeostasis. We are peaceful. Yeah, have a good night, Nadine. We embrace the unknown. We are full of love, joy, trust. We're selfless. We're connected. And we are open to all possibilities. We're creating. It's beautiful. So the way we do it is we change our brainwaves and get presence. So I hope that you found some of that helpful, because I don't know, I just thought it was really effective knowing when we're in fight or flight and then how to get out of it. And we're in fight or flight a lot, right? Hi, Faith. Welcome. So what do you think? Anybody have any thoughts on that? Is that a Russian flag, or I'm not sure. Hi, Barbara. Welcome. Yeah. Well, I hope that was interesting. I hope that was illuminating. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. It's 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I want to thank our moderator again, Imran Hossain, for doing a great job moderating. And he is a YouTube SEO specialist, and he can get your channel found if you are starting a YouTube channel. So from myself to yourself, thank you for joining me on this journey. And thank you for the great chat again. It was a really nice night. And we'll see you tomorrow morning. Do you want to say goodbye? Pumpkin says goodbye too. Okay, bye.